Hi, everybody. Carlos here with you once again. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And so what I want to do today is share with you what I'm working on right now that is a top priority. I knew that I needed to put in time, do my research, and get to a point where I could present you with something that you'd say, hey, Carlos, good idea, nice work. At least that's what I believe. So you'll be the judge. Alrighty, so the name of my organization, CTD Development Services Incorporated. My roots, which is in public education, and I already know what the problems were there. So when I came back, it's the same, if not worse, right? And so I have a solution. I have a solution that I want to propose to you. And so I hope you'll hear me out all the way through. And hopefully you'll ask some questions, say, how can I help? Because I got lots of help that I need already. So, all right. So this is the game plan right here, what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of this presentation. But it starts with my hypothesis. And what I'm saying is everything that you saw on that list of causes, problems, is not rooted in poverty or racism. No, it's rooted in the myths is one, but more importantly, it's in the lack of people taking personal responsibility for the work they do and the effort they put in to their work. How simple is that? That's the problem. We have now entire cultures, entire organizations where nobody wants to take responsibility for the failures of our schools. And big part of the problem is we're asking the wrong questions, right? And so, and by doing so, we create all this extra work for ourselves, right? And so it's tiring too. People are busy. Our principals are running up and down and up and down, and not taking care of instruction. So that means the solution will be that simple. And what I'm saying here is that if every adult working in public education committed to simply doing their job, just do your job, and do your job to the highest standards of excellence you can achieve today with a spirit of continuous improvement, then most of the problems of public education are going to disappear, because they're not problems, they're symptoms of the problem. But moving right along, right? So we have to have alignment, and it's got to be emphasized on excellence of instruction. One thing I can tell you right now, more training for teachers, we got to stop it. That's a $19 billion a year expenditure that has, after 20 years, generated no positive gains for students, because that's not where the need is at. Yes, teachers have to teach better, but it's not about just, nobody's going to pull out this magical way of teaching that's going to change things. It's about effort, how hard you try for your kids, how much you think about your lesson plan and put the face of every student in your mind as you're going through these exercises before you actually assign them to the students. That's effort, right? It's, grading everything the moment you get it and giving it back to them, even on the same day. That's effort. It's calling on the phone, not robocalling, not emailing the parents when you need to, and calling them when there's something positive to share. That's effort. That's taking personal responsibility for the quality of the work that you do. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm inviting you to help me put pressure on the system, so that every time they try to redirect the conversation to something else, we don't care. It's about quality of instruction. What are you doing for our teachers? Okay. But my biggest, most important and urgent metric outside of the hardware issue for our kids is, you have these parents. Oh, God bless them. They're so patient. And there's not a meeting that skips where they're not asking, what are you doing to help our African American students? I could hear the pain in this mother's voice when she's like, Black kids are doing worse than the English learners. I mean, they're coming, born speaking English, born with all the rights and privileges of being American. And these immigrant kids, they're not saying this, I'm saying it. They can't speak a lick of English by the time they get to a certain grade. Still classified as English learners, but they're doing better than our kids that at the beginning, should be starting with an advantage. And, 2 times we've had 2 visits from different board members, and the reply is always, yeah, I'm working, we're working on this. Oh, it's going to cost a lot of money. We have the money. It's just being spent on garbage, first of all. And stop saying, yeah, we're working on this. Do it. Do it. And it doesn't cost money. It costs you being a leader and saying, teachers, superintendent, let's focus. All we need to do is do our freaking jobs and do them well. You. IT. I'll give you what excellence looks like in IT. Taking responsibility and putting in effort. It takes you, when you receive, the new Chromebooks, to distribute them to the students, before you just give them out, test them. Test the hotspot. Drive to where they live and see if they work. We have $8 billion. My desired outcome, the takeaway I want for you, is that you find my analysis accurate, persuasive, and that you find the plan efficient but effective, or with the potential to be effective, so that it's worthy of your generous donation. Okay, so the organization does need some coin real soon, real fast. And so if you are in a giving mood, now is the time to help a friend in need. Okay, but if you don't feel that way, then I hope that you will let me know what your concerns or disagreements are, and give me an opportunity to respond by either improving what I've proposed or trying to persuade you in a different way. Okay? How the journey began, it started with some bad experiences my daughter had with her chemistry teacher, who started day 1 of school by telling the class that most of them were going to fail, being very upset that they shouldn't be there. And it only got worse from there. I raised hell. The only person I didn't speak to was the teacher, because at the time I was so upset that a cop had to grab me at one point, not because I was headed towards anybody. I was just headed towards the entrance, but I was so heated. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, yes, right? So audacity to say at the very bottom, we're proud of our best efforts. You haven't given your best effort, all right? I'm not even going to criticize, but you haven't given your best effort. There's way better things you could do. And then, she says up at the top in the red box, counselors review work with their students to offer them a variety of programs as a way for students to catch up. That's bull. That's bull, because I asked my kid, and she said, the only reason I've ever spoken to my counselor is because I went to her to take me out of that chemistry class. If I honored your request, I'd have to honor everybody else's request. And I'm like, and what are we doing about this teacher? This guy's got to go. Okay, nobody else am I saying that about. This guy's got to go. But nobody doesn't. And I went as high as I could. This is why I'm asking for your help. Let me stay in this fight. I can fix this. I can fix all of it with this very simple idea of just having high expectations for yourself and high expectations for those you serve or who serve you. That's it. That's it. If enough, and I've got the team now. So let me keep going so you can meet my team. All right. So here's an overview of the budget overview of the LCAP. That's the state side of budgets for LAUSD, right? So they dazzle you with all these activities so that stakeholders have an opportunity to weigh in on the expenditures. And what expenditures do you say? These expenditures. These are the 2019-2020 expenditures for LAUSD, and might be a little bit small, so let me enlarge it for you. Not large enough. Let me enlarge it one more time. Oh, $8 billion. Now, so, we're talking about expenditures all being in alignment to support high quality instruction, high quality teaching, uh, learning supports for the students, and, effort, right? This is how effort gets killed, even from the parent side. So these are just three of hundreds at this point, hundreds of voicemails, text messages, emails that I get from three different schools to talk to me about things that, or invite me to things that have nothing to do, not of interest to me, I didn't ask for them, and have nothing to do with the quality of instruction. So you look here, first one talks about please use the link to vote yes or no on the more consistent teacher collaboration times. So should they have 21 Tuesdays or 14 Tuesdays to get together for collaboration? How the heck should I know? Why are you asking me? Isn't that a conversation that you grown up professionals can handle yourself? You know what it is? It probably has to do with money. They don't tell us that. And so they need our votes, and this is their sneaky and conniving way of getting it from us. Right below it, LAUSD is hosting a transition to summer learning for families series. What are you going to teach me? And doesn't say anything. And why do I want to go? I don't want to. LAUSD can't teach me, right? Next, in the middle. So join a presentation to inform our students, families, and communities about the upcoming general election. Hosted by Lakers, get out of public education, because you know what happens? Each one of these activities costs money, first of all. Just sending these memos costs money. You stuff my inbox with stuff that I don't need, don't want, and I can't, filter them out. I can't block them, because then when something of actual value comes through, I won't receive it. But more importantly, you'll see as the presentation goes, one of the most important practices in public schools is administrators visiting classrooms. They too have to plan. They too need to figure out how they're going to deploy their assistant, administrators to go visit the classroom, to go make sure that instruction is happening, that it's high quality, that all students are involved, that it's rigorous, standards-based, right? Well, guess what? Each one of these meetings requires somebody in an administrative position to be there. And so it's a misappropriation of very limited resources for people that are very tired and no longer know what the true priority is. I'm going to remind you right now, it's the quality of instruction. Everything has to lead back to the classroom. Third one. So somebody's going to talk to me, wants to talk to me about paid sick leave due to COVID. All right, so now they're my HR director. Thank you. So can't afford computers for the kids. Until this very day, some of the kids still don't have the right hardware to take a test and be able to complete it. Yet there's money to conduct these events. And let me tell you, if you want to, here's some budget data from the Los Angeles Unified School District, and look at how much they have for technological support. $15.7 million. In comparison to, it scratched out there 2-3, which because I redlined it, but it reads curriculum design and implementation to align content and instruction to CCSS. I don't know what CCSS is, but I can tell you that for 25 years, I see these crazy expenditures on curriculum alignment. Come on, every year, the standards don't change every year. The textbooks don't change every year. What the hell are we doing? Anyways, but we don't have enough money for computers. I'll take that 144 million and give it to IT. Let's hire some Google types to work, in our IT department that are a little bit more gifted. I'm sure these guys do a fine job and work hard, because I know their website inside and out, which is why I can say no, but I'm sure they try. but we need some higher caliber for 650,000 students that we have. Instructional staff for professional development and curriculum alignment. Yeah, give me those 9 million as well. Send them all down to technology support. My principal had to like jump through all this red tape to get some computers for our kids who were so desperate. So desperate, it makes me sad. That they had their families, their parents drive them to the school. They're like, we can't get in. It's fucking the second semester. Anyway, sorry. Okay, but moving on. So this is the journey, right? I'm still telling you this is what got me so heated. But okay, now it's COVID time. I write a letter to the parent and community engagement unit because, yeah, this is what I'm getting, you know, from the schools and the district. I'm like, stop sending this stuff. This is why parents aren't picking up anymore. This is why they're not responding. It's like you're overloading their inbox, you know, with garbage. And we're about to go into distance learning, 7.8 billion, 8 billion. Who's counting? It's just a couple hundred million. But that's how much money this district gets. That's why they can afford to send all those nonsensical text messages and invitations, having all these events for the community. The community doesn't want that. They want you to teach our kids right. Man, it's like so hard. It makes you want to curse. But look at this. 3,000 stakeholders engaged to, you know, weigh in on this plan, you know, study sessions, 150 focus groups. I've been going to these things, to these study groups, and oh, what a waste, what a waste. They cost a lot of money. They have entire staffs. That's what this parent and community unit that I was talking about earlier, that's the work they do. They're not going to deal with the shit I'm talking about because they're busy holding all these events, training us. This Saturday, they're going to have trainings on how to do math with your kid. I don't need to do math with my kid. The math teacher needs to do math with my kid and do it effectively. And I will pay for that, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. I will pay for that. But that's not my job. That's the teacher's job, right? And maybe the teacher, I know the teacher isn't receiving the right kind of support, but we'll get to that in a little while. So, got my foot in the way I got my foot in the door was I started by volunteering at one of my kids' elementary schools and joined the web team. And at some point I couldn't be helpful anymore. And so I said, you know what, because of time, I said, what we need is to just get somebody, give some quick money and have them just build it. He said, we don't have the money. I said, you know, we have $8 billion. Where is that money going? And why wouldn't it why wouldn't the district automatically supply, you know, or, you know, staff every school with a tech rep, especially right now? Why only 15 million? Here's a quote from John F. Kennedy. It says, the great enemy of the truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived, and dishonest as it may be, but it's the myth that is persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic that is the greatest enemy of the truth. And that's why I'm telling you, before we start talking about how we can fix our public schools, let's make sure we let go of all the false narratives. But so that you don't think I'm speaking out of my rear, here, I did a study of 15 high schools right here in my neck of the woods because I was doing a comparison of my kids' high schools to other high schools. I was trying to prove a point, ended up becoming a whole study. But what I did was I decided when I had all this data to, well, once I put all the data together, I realized that a lot of the stuff you're seeing here on the left, a lot of these problems, these so-called problems, are not the problem, right? It's not even factual, the claims that are being made. So this is for another time, but you can look at it. All you need to know is green is good, red is bad, right? So the more green you have, the better situation you're in. The more red you have, the worse, you know, your situation is as a school. But I'll do this very quickly. So just look, right? And so the issue is this. This is what they're confronted with nowadays when they get out of school. I mean, they deal with it before that, right? But this is the list of just junk that our kids are going to inherit from us. And if we don't take care of this generation that's, you know, coming out of the schools and having to deal with all this in the news and on social media, then they're not going to take very good care of us. And more importantly, they're not going to be civil, friendly, productive individuals that'll take care of our kids and our grandkids, right? It's like we got to think about the future. So whether, you have to be or deal with the schools themselves and all the people inside of them, that the debacle of that institution means a debacle of society, because out of these schools is, where our leaders are coming from. I mean, you always hear a lot of leaders, political leaders, talking about, I'm a product of the public schools. Well, look at what our political leaders are doing for us today. They're not batting 1,000, that's for sure. And so we've got to start cultivating better future adults, is what I'm saying. If you just look at the bottom, let's say 5 schools, 6 schools, you'll see how much green they have. What that means is they have the more favorable conditions than these schools on the top, right, which have a lot of red, even though they're higher achieving. Okay, look at this, expenditures per pupil. I'll just show one. Expenditures per pupil, highest achieving schools have the fewest expenditures per pupil, whereas the lowest achieving schools have the highest expenditures. It's like having too much money might actually be a hindrance instead of helpful. The lowest achieving schools have low populations, especially in comparison to these higher achieving schools. So myth. All right, the data says it. I didn't make this up. This isn't fake news. And notice that there's no taking of responsibility. There's no talking about how teachers can have this immense power to discourage students from trying, right? And so this is what I see in this set of underlying issues that the school site council selected. Yeah, so there's the ones you can't do anything about, blaming the victim. So if you see that line at the bottom of number 2, I believe one reason for decrease is in attendance is due to large freshman class this year, many with a history of chronic absences. I bet you she doesn't know that at all. She has no data to substantiate that. In addition, many of these students came with poor grades and academic skills, a known reason for absenteeism. I bet you the person who wrote that doesn't know that. Oh, right? But in the end, I treat that as blaming the victim, right? And so let's look at, they were able to increase their attendance last year a little bit. And let's talk about what it was that helped that, okay? So bi-weekly tardy and campus sweeps. Okay, so now we're policing the kids, all right? Early academic intervention, that's a good one. But we have instituted the attendance task force, the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's real nice. And what did they work on? Well, let's see who's on there. The athletic director, counselors, members of administration. They meet weekly. They curated new policies for attendance, tardies, and detention. Okay, shut the front door. Now you've taken some of the most well-paid and most important members of your staff to go be a police force, to be writing policy. I'm sure the old look, if you're in high school, you don't go to school, there are consequences. You don't learn, you might become truant. Come on, saying that, oh, did the kids fool you into believing that? No, we didn't know that was the policy. Come on. Oh. And then they'll do things like robocalls, like as if, right? Announcements made throughout the day. You know what that feels like? What that sounds like to me? Prison. If you're chasing me around the yard, you're making announcements, be in class. Maybe there's a reason why these kids don't want to be in class. you know. But this is what you're doing. You take staff that is very much needed to do something besides their job, and guess what you produce? More students that are disengaged, that are disgruntled. And let me tell you something, in looking at the root causes, like I said, nobody taking responsibility, no adult saying, you know what, I said some things like, you shouldn't be here, you're all going to fail, right? And let me say something else. She had a speech teacher. So there was the chemistry teacher, there was a speech teacher. And this is a GATE student, gifted and talented. So, it only goes downhill from there. She has a little bit more privilege, gets some of the better teachers. But she had a speech teacher who wasn't engaging, so the kids didn't react. And guess what she did? One day she just decided, I'm not going to talk to the students anymore, not a peep. And just would show up, hand out dittos, not say another word. That's malicious. That's freaking malicious. You could have asked for help. She got a promotion. She's the coordinator who now writes these plans. And in none of this, even though academic challenges was one of the things mentioned as a problem, you see nothing here that speaks on the academic intervention, the holding the teachers accountable, we're going to go and observe and make sure that they do a good job. So I decided to give them some suggestions myself. Oh, just to show you how easy it is. So AP Spanish teacher for my daughter gives her an assignment that I just think is crazy and out of control. I send her an email. I got a little testy, but I apologize. But I was direct. I spoke her language. She wrote back. She defended herself. She justified her decisions. She acknowledged some mistakes. She thanked me. So she sorry. She apologized. And we're good. I got a good feeling that this teacher may have been losing her mojo, because the teachers are just as affected as the kids with this COVID, and kids not showing their faces on Zoom, not having any connection. So she got a little jolt. I got to follow up with her and thank her for her reply and everything. That's how simple it has to be. We just have to start talking to one another and being partners when it comes to our kids, and everything will work out really well, much faster. But do want to get to this page, and like I said, everybody that's watching this video is gonna get a copy of this presentation. And so here I have links to the pages on my website where you can go and make your donation. You can also help by support. You can buy stuff that I have for sale on eBay for loose_71, which then the proceeds go to the nonprofit 100%. So either way, it's coming here, but it's to keep the lights on and continue doing the work. And then if you shop on Amazon Smile, then a few pennies of each purchase go straight to a fund for a grant for CTD development services. And so there's several ways that you can help. You can produce passive revenue, or just give us a lump sum. And in fact, when you do visit the donate page, there is the monthly option if you want to follow that. Doesn't matter, as long as we can start securing some revenue so I can focus on doing this work. And look, I'm not here to make a career out of this. When this problem is fixed, it's fixed. I'm done going back to working, a real job. But it's because I believe this one can be done fast, real fast. It's attitude adjustment. That's it. Okay. This is where you can find us on social media and on the internet. I have a website, I have a Facebook business page, I have a YouTube channel. If you're not convinced, let me know. Visit my different pages. I have 160 training videos just on the YouTube channel alone. So I've been putting work into this for a long time before I even came to you. But wrap up with just showing you a couple of pictures here. The bottom is mi familia. In the center, I have from my teaching days in elementary. But up top, just met with these gals 2 weeks ago. They're this is my claim to fame, right? So this was the last year I taught. It was my best year that I taught. And man, they got the best of me every day. I was excellent every day. I forgave myself for nothing. And yeah, I was grading. As soon as you gave me the homework, I was grading it. If I could get one in here, so taking attendance, grading, in between bells, grading. If I saw them in the hallway, hey, take it back. You got to fix X, Y, and Z. That's excellence in instruction. When I got stuck, I got tired of my kids failing my own tests that I taught with passion. I went to a teacher that was well known for being very effective. She asked me, after I explained to her everything that I did, she says, Carlos, how long do you speak before you let your students speak? I thought I was being cool. About 8 to 10 minutes. She's like, oh, Carlos, 2 minutes. Shut the hell up. Check for understanding. Changed everything. Everything. That's excellence in instruction. That's what it takes. I had this kid. He was probably special ed. I don't know. I never received any paperwork, an IEP or anything like that. And I was too stupid to ask. But I would meet this kid after school every day. And every day I was repeating the same things. I was banging on the table, frustrated. Fucking frustrated. Wanted to kick his ass. When I left, he found me before I left and he said, you're the first teacher I ever understood. That's excellence in instruction. That's all it takes. Give a fuck about the job you do.